Episode 12 of the Game Time Gents. Here we are. It's me, your co-host Nardi, with Fish and Zoltowski again, coming at you with our dozenth episode. Wow. Is that a thing people say?
Yeah.
It can be.
I don't know, maybe.
Dozen?
Dirty dozen donuts.
Hey, we love a dozen donuts on this podcast.
Yes, we do.
Shout out, Ben. Anyways, we're going to start off how we always do with some news and life updates. Zoltowski, you have some exciting life updates. Why don't you take it off here, buddy?
All right. Yeah, I do. So we leave for vacation on Saturday, which I'm excited for. We'll be spending 2 weeks down in Florida visiting our friends Bree and Austin. So shout out Austin if you're still listening. Gonna hit up Disney World. Arthur gets his first haircut while we're down there. I'm gonna hit up a golf course, play the Lake Buena Vista course. Just a fun packed vacation for the first week, and then the second week will just kind of be exploring the surrounding areas of Orlando. So I'm excited for that. And recently this weekend, Saturday was a long day, but ended on a good note. We took Arthur to his first hockey game in Columbus at Nationwide to watch the Blue Jackets play the Wild. We only made it through halfway through the second period before we had to leave because he was real tired, and I'm not messing with his bedtime because that is not a fun thing to change. But it was a lot of fun. He loved it. A little overwhelmed at first. We had to get one of those sensory kits, and he had the earphones on, the noise canceling ones. But after a while, he took them off and was like looking at all the lights. He was watching the game, especially when we saw those quick changes. I mean, he was loving it, and ended up buying quarter season tickets for the season. So, Liz and I talked about going to the Cyclones, and I decided, if I'm going to go watch hockey, I'm going to go watch the pros. So I'll be going to more games this year. I got 11 games I get to go to. So talk about that. Excited. But just a lot going on. I'll still be recording the pod. You'll still hear my wonderful voice while I'm on vacation because I got to bring my laptop for school, and I'll bring my mic. So, but yeah, that's about it for me. Nut, you want to go into yours, or do we want to let Fish go on his stuff?
Fish, you can go first since I have a little bit more to talk about than you do.
Yeah, you got about 4 pages worth. So just quick little update. Annie and I purchased tickets for this weekend, Eagles versus Bengals. It'll be her first Bengals game at the stadium, which I'm excited to showcase for her. Hopefully she leaves with a big L. It's been a common trend. Any team that I go watch that I'm really excited for, or it's my team, we end up losing. So good news is we're on the visitor side, 50-yard line, about second row up. So super
nice
to yell at Sirianni and his stupid bald head. So
I hope he yells back at you.
I hope he does too, because I'm charging. But it should be a good time. Atmosphere should be crazy. So I'm excited for it.
Dude, that's awesome. I know you were kind of up in the air about it because it was at Paycor, but that's sweet. You get to go watch your Eagles play, especially that close.
See Barkley play, man.
Yeah.
2 box calves. I mean, that guy, I can't wait. I'm excited.
It's great you get to go see your team play close to you. And, we went all the way up to Cleveland this weekend to go watch them. Bad weekend to be a Cleveland sports fan.
Isn't it always bad?
I would tell you about it.
Like 20 years?
We had some bright spots there for a little bit.
Yeah.
This weekend, unfortunately, the Browns lost to the Bengals, but more importantly, the Guardians lost in the ALCS to the Yankees.
Go Dodgers.
So, the Yankees are in the World Series again. It seems like they've been in it for how many times have they been to the World Series, Fish?
I mean, they've won 28. They haven't been back in a while, though. They've had a pretty good drought.
So we'll see if they win. They're going against the Dodgers. Any idea what your predictions are, boys?
I mean, those are both powerhouse lineups. It depends on if Nestor Cortez comes back, if he's going to pitch through the injury. He injured his elbow. He was out the rest of the playoffs. So, I mean, he advocated of like, hey, if I had to sit out next year for us to get a ring, I'm in for it. So, waiting to hear that news. But, I mean, you got the big three with the Yankees, Judge, Stanton, and Soto. Soto's been on fire lately. They're playing the hot hand right now. I mean, they dealt with the Guardians not easily, but I mean, they're riding hot. It seems like every time they get a hit, that bench explodes. Home run, doesn't matter. I mean, it's just that team is just energetic right now. But then you look at the other side with the Dodgers and Ohtani and the crazy shit that he can do. So it's going to be a hell of a matchup. I think it'll go to Game 7, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, definitely exciting, especially the year that Ohtani's had. That makes me root for them. I want to see him get a ring. I think the Yankees have won it a little too much. And you said what, 28 times, right? They've won.
Yeah, but not lately.
Yeah, I know. They're 28 for 40. They've been there 40 times. I mean, come on, enough's enough, man.
No, not in my lifetime. Maybe after when I'm gone.
Plus, I just want to hear you complain too. Honestly,
they'll be fine. I'm glad they made it. They get. Hopefully, we re-sign Soto. I mean, he's an incredible ball player. So we'll see. But I mean, it's gonna be a hell. I'm gonna end up watching everything. I mean, that game. Those games are gonna be very, very close. It's gonna be very, very energetic. So.
Yeah, that'll definitely be a good series. I think you're right. I think we see a Game 7 World Series winner this year.
This Friday.
This Friday? Okay.
This Friday,
and
we'll have it on and COD.
Yes, COD.
Yep,
Friday.
Call of Duty does come out Friday. We're excited for that. Hopefully, we don't get just completely rolled with this new movement system.
We're
all well over 30, so
okay.
We'll see what happens.
Well over 30.
Yeah, I'm just 30. There's a 0.
We're well over 30.
We're old. Okay, it's fine. Did you guys play the beta at all?
No.
Okay.
No,
Yeah. No. Not. Good luck. It's fun.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
It's going to be a learning curve. In other news, the NBA did tip off tonight. We're recording this on October 22nd. We didn't record on Monday night just because there was 2 Monday night games on and we wanted to watch both of those. But yeah, so NBA did tip off tonight. Going to be an exciting year for that, I think. I know Zoltowski's not really a big basketball fan,
but maybe. I don't know.
And in other news, going back to Cleveland, Deshaun Watson is out for the year. He ruptured his Achilles. Now, I was actually at this game. I watched the Browns fall to the Bengals, unfortunately, which they have not done since 2017. The Bengals have not won in Cleveland since 2017. So it really feels like a big changing of the guard is happening right now for the Browns. But, there's been a lot of drama around the Deshaun situation when he went down. There's a lot of people claiming that the entire stadium was cheering or the entire stadium was booing that he was injured. I will tell you just from personal experience that is not the case. There were some people, cheering, which is really shitty thing to do. Like, don't cheer for a guy getting hurt, despite what he's done off the field. He's not what he used to be, but he's trying to make it work in a system he's not familiar with. And, I mean, it was just really crappy to see some fans just cheer the fact that he's out for the year and his time in Cleveland may be done. His time playing football might be done from what people are saying. Which why would he come back if he's going to make the money he's going to make still from Cleveland? If Watson doesn't come back to play the last 2 years of his deal, he does have a cap hit of $72.9 million for both 2025 and 2026. So the Browns will have to pay that both of those years. Going forward, Kevin Stefanski has said there's going to be a quarterback competition for the starting quarterback. Now, I believe, Fish, you said today Winston was named the starter, correct?
Correct, yeah, just for week 8 for right now.
So Winston is the starter against Baltimore. That's at home. I will be at that game, so we'll see what the vibes are like. But to be truthful, they were pretty treacherous, even with Nick Chubb coming back, scoring a touchdown. It was just really tough to sit there and watch. That team that was in the playoffs less than a year ago is now 1-6 and just horrible. Or 1-7. Are we 1-6 or 1-7? I don't even care anymore. That's where we're at. But the Browns have also signed Bailey Zappi. Shout out Bosom. I think that's more of just like a depth thing. I don't think he's going to get much playing time this year for sure. He's probably going to be that third emergency quarterback that is on rosters in 2024. So
the EBQB.
Yep, the emergency QB. We'll see what happens with that whole situation. But there were some bright spots of the game. Like I said, Chubb coming back. We'll get into another Browns player and our Week 7 review with my surprise.
Ooh.
But I did want to also announce that the Browns have officially announced that they have plans to move to Brook Park. It is a suburb of Cleveland. It's about, I want to say half an hour, maybe 20 minutes away from the heart of the city. It is right next to the airport, and Haslam Sports Group has announced that they're going to make plans to break ground out there. Now, the city of Cleveland has rebutted that using what is called the Art Modell rule, which, if you don't remember, Art Modell was the owner of the Browns before Cleveland moved to Baltimore, and this law is a state law to protect the city of Cleveland from the team being moved again. Now, I'm not sure legally what's going to happen. I haven't really read that far into it, but since that stadium was built with tax-supported money, it's going to be probably a legal mess to see what happens if that stadium does end up, not being used anymore. It's just, there's going to be some time to tell to see if the Browns really do move to Brook Park. So that's at least one thing Browns can look forward to now is, a different place for the Browns to play. The renderings of it have been beautiful. If you guys haven't seen it, it's like this giant glass building. It reminds me of SoFi a little bit. They've got like a whole town around it pretty much. It's really nice. So we'll see if it happens. We'll see if it doesn't happen. I don't know. Knowing the Browns, knowing the Haslam Sports Group, their luck, they'll build the stadium and then the ruling will come out where they're not allowed to move. So we'll see. But that is pretty much what I have for news. Do you guys have anything else?
I just want to comment on the QB situation in Cleveland. I know Fish had sent me a reel on Instagram earlier today of just how Winston is on the field with his teammates and just the energy that he brings. And I think that might be what the Browns need. He's that positive go get him guy. The rah rally. And right now anything's going to help. And I think that if he steps back there and he keeps that attitude of bringing his guys up, we might see a turnaround from I'm hoping to see a turnaround from the Browns. One, for your sake, I don't want you to be sad no more. But, I want to see them play good football too. So I'm hoping that we'll maybe see a change here with that.
Yeah, Winston, I think he's universally loved by not only his teammates, but football fans everywhere. He's just like such an entertaining figure in the world of football. It's his personality. The eating W's thing is always funny. He's very, very like movie character-esque, I would say. Just, the things he says and stuff like that. It's almost like he thinks he's the main character of a story or something. So be interesting to see how the team rallies around him. That's a good point. Fish, you have anything before we go on?
No, I think we covered everything so far.
Okay, awesome. All right, so now we'll get into our week 2 review. Our week 7 review. It's our second topic. We'll get into our surprises, our heroes, our zeros, and I think Zoltowski, you're the only one with a concern as of right now. So
yeah, it just ties in with my zero a little bit. Like I said, just need some more room to write some stuff.
Gotcha. Okay, so Fish, why don't you get us started here with your surprise for week 7?
For sure. My week 7 surprise, Jonnu Smith, tight end for the Dolphins, came for the Patriots. That Dolphins offense, as being a fantasy manager of Tyreek and a chain, has been abysmal since he's been injured. But Jonnu did go 7 for 7 for 96 yards and a touchdown. It's positive to see them at least do something offensively. With that being said, I know Tyreek was kind of held to 3 points fantasy-wise. The chain had a really good run session. I think he went 19 for 77, I believe, or at least around the ballpark. Didn't receive anything catching-wise, which is unfortunate. But we'll discuss later on. But good news is it seems like Tua is trending to come back. I know that's almost a controversial topic. With him coming back, from his plethora of injuries that he's had, especially with the concussions and such. So that's my week 7 surprise. It was good to see the Dolphins offense at least do something remotely good. So I'm glad Jonnu had a hell of a game. So
yeah, he at least got something positive going on the offensive side. I know, like you said, there wasn't much going on. There hasn't been much going on for the Dolphins as of late. So cool to see Jonnu Smith getting something done. It always seems like he has a week like this every year. So Zoltowski, what about you? What's your surprise for this week?
Yeah, so my surprise this week was the Falcons just getting absolutely blasted at home by the Seahawks. The 31-14 loss there in Atlanta. You know, Atlanta, they've looked good all year. Kirk Cousins has been playing well. Bijan, I know he had a rough start, but he was starting to pick it up. And that receiver score too, Drake London, Mooney, and McLeod were all catching balls, looking good. And I mean, just to go out there and lose, Kirk Cousins threw 2 picks. They had a fumble that was recovered for a touchdown. Seahawks were coming off a 3-game skid. I think they lost to the Lions and then this is their first win since then. And I mean, you're playing at home, you've been playing good football, and now all of a sudden, you're just getting creamed. Just kind of surprised me to see that. So I picked the Falcons to win in our pick'ems, and because I just didn't see that coming from the Seahawks. I mean, I know Kenny Walker's been playing very well, but like I said, just didn't see it coming.
Yeah, Kenny Walker's been playing really, really well. I didn't get to watch this game, unfortunately, because I was either in the car or I don't know. But, yeah, I was surprised to see that box score for sure. All right, so my week 7 surprise is a guy named Cedric Tillman. If you haven't heard of him, it's okay. He was like the 4th receiver on the Browns depth chart for a while there. So he seems to be stepping into that Amari Cooper role, the role that was vacated when Amari got traded to the Buffalo Bills, which he had a pretty nice game for them this week. But Cedric Tillman has gone from playing, a snap percentage in the 30s, in the previous weeks to being on the field 82% of the snaps. He got 12 targets, which is more than all the targets he's gotten previously this year. He's also he had 8 receptions for 81 yards, and he caught a 2-point conversion from Jameis Winston after they did score that last touchdown. So the good thing about Cedric is being at that game, you saw him getting involved early. Like I said, he stepped into that Amari Cooper role, which seems like he's going to be one of the more go-to guys. I know Jerry Jeudy didn't get many targets thrown his way, but Cedric, he was getting the ball a lot in traffic. He was very good at catching the ball in traffic at Tennessee when he was there. He also did get thrown a couple balls in the end zone, one that led to a Nick Chubb touchdown because he did get pass interference when they landed in the end zone, and I believe that was DTR's first throw. But yeah, it's very exciting to see, very happy to see Cedric Tillman stepping up. I was looking back at our old show docs because I know I had talked about Cedric Tillman once before, and he was actually a fantasy flyer of mine on our second show that we ever had. So if he is available in your leagues, I'm going to go ahead and tweet this out now since this will come out after your league waivers have run, but pick him up. I mean, I think he's really going to be someone going forward you can lean on. Jameis Winston's going to have someone to throw the ball to, or DTR, or Bailey Zappi, whoever decides to start there. But yeah, definitely I think Cedric Tillman is a great pickup. Seems like he's going to be involved heavily. And he's definitely a big body that can get in there and battle for the ball in the end zone. So Cedric Tillman is a big surprise this week, but he's not quite a fantasy hero yet. So Zoltowski, would you like to go into your fantasy hero this week?
Yeah, so my fantasy hero this week is David Njoku, tight end for the Cleveland Browns. I know he got hurt earlier in the year, kind of had a rough start to the year. Really was a go-to guy for me last year as a manager, and had a nice breakout week this week. He had 10 receptions on 14 targets for 76 yards and 1 touchdown for a total of 25.6 points in our league that we all have together. I think with Amari getting traded and that spot being open, I think he's also going to be one of the main targets we see out there. You know, he's a big guy, likes to go up there and get the ball, make catches. And like I said, last year, ran 2 tight ends, him and Laporta, constantly week to week because they were always just getting targets, getting catches. And I think now that Amari's out of the picture, unfortunately for the Browns, I think Njoku's going to do a pretty good job stepping into that role and becoming someone who, if you have him, I think you can safely start him again. But it is his Browns, so you never know. But yeah, impressed by his performance this week for sure.
Yeah, definitely. He was a big part of that offense early as well.
Yeah,
Fish, why don't you go ahead and sorry, Zoltowski, go ahead.
Just gonna throw it to Fish. Actually, he took the words right out of my mouth.
My fantasy hero, I mean, now that he is back fully healthy, he was healthy last week, healthy this week. He runs like he's just got back into the league. Joe Mixon, back-to-back weeks with 100 yards rushing, and has done it fairly easy. Again, he looks like he's 25 again. This past week, last week he had 26.2 fantasy points, and then this week he had 25.4. The 3 games that he has been fully healthy, without any type of injury, sitting out, or any shoulder or ankle or anything like that, he's posted over 100 yards and over 25 fantasy points. This guy, if I was a Bengals fan, I would be a little upset letting him go because he has run with a chip on his shoulder. Now, again, he's with the Texans, high-powered offense. C.J. Stroud's doing incredible things there. That entire receiving corps is doing great. But, man, he looks like he's 7 years young and hungry to score. That is my fantasy hero this week. He definitely carried me to a victory in one of our leagues. So I appreciate you, Joe.
Yeah, no, he looked good. I watched a little bit of that game, and he was really the reason that offense was able to get going in some critical spots there, just because the way that he runs, that, like you said, that chip on his shoulder. There's some angry runs, man. I love a good angry run. But yeah, if I was a Bengals fan, I'd be pretty pissed off to see, we let him go, and now he's out here just running like it's nobody's business.
Yeah, it's kind of disgusting. So at least Nuts happy he's not in the same division anymore.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Chase Brown kind of ran all over us too, it seemed like, but definitely not Joe Mixon. So, all right. So my fantasy hero, I'm sticking with the running back room. I'm going with the guy who just got an opportunity this week and seized it. Tank Bigsby, is it Travis or Trevor? Which one's in college still?
Yeah, Trevor's in college.
Okay. So Travis Etienne missed this week. Tank Bigsby got to step into the leading role there. Played 66% of the snaps, which is what you want out of your lead back. He ran the ball 26 times for 118 yards. That's 4.5 yards per carry, and he had 2 touchdowns. Now, he did have all of his production on the ground. He only got 1 target, and he didn't catch it. So, looking at Tank Bigsby, he seems like a guy that could be relied on in the future. I know there's a lot of worry about Travis Etienne coming back, but, Tank has had some success when Travis has been on the field as well. So, and that offense needs, quite honestly, all the help it can get right now. So maybe they'll start going with that 2-headed monster. And I'm not sure how long Travis is out, but
he should be back this week.
Yeah, it was just a lingering hamstring. But, I mean, those hamstrings do linger on, so definitely keep an eye on him.
Yeah, I made the mistake of sitting him in my other league this week after his abysmal performance the week before, and I highly regret that.
Well, to your point, though, right? Etienne hasn't really performed as Etienne status, especially with people where he was being drafted. I mean, honestly, with Tank taking the lead role here this past week, I mean, see that share be a little bit more split, especially if Etienne's injured still. That whatever, like Nutter said, that lingering hamstring issue, whatever it may be, expect Tank to, possibly get 10 plus carries, even when Etienne is playing. So, I mean, it could be another 2-headed monster situation, and super unfortunate for anyone that has has Etienne on their team. But if you have Tank, it's pretty positive for you guys. You're trending in the right direction on that one. So,
yeah, I think you'll see much more of a snap share as well as probably a little bit more leaning towards Tank on the actual carries side, they may use Travis as a pass catching back, but I think that they'll still both get their touches. We'll see. But that is it for the fantasy heroes. Who would like to step in first for a fantasy zero? I see we have 2 quarterbacks and a wide receiver.
Well, so if you don't mind, speaking of hamstring injuries, I'd like to talk about my fantasy zero
Go
if
for
I
it.
can cut in on that one. Speaking of hamstring injuries, so my fantasy zero this week is Juju Smith-Schuster. He played, obviously he's with the Chiefs. He kind of filled in, 2 weeks ago before they had their bye. He went 7 receptions for 130 yards. It looks like he filled in that Rashee Rice role of being that possession guy, that guy that Mahomes can rely on. I know earlier this week that he had that lingering hamstring injury. We kind of just talked about it. It's there, but he cleared it, but it's still there, kind of thing. It was one of those awkward situations where you take a gamble. You say, okay, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and play him. I did for a couple leagues, thinking that it's just a hamstring injury. He's not going to break away and run it for 1,000 yards or anything. But all we need is just simple possessions. Unfortunately, that hamstring injury reawoke itself early on into the game, and unfortunately he was ruled out essentially from the get-go. So a big whopping goose egg there for 0 fantasy points. So just keep on monitor. I know that he might be out next week as well because of this hamstring injury there. So my fantasy zero's got to be Juju. Again, it was one of those awkward spots where it was a 4:00 game. Most of the teams had already played. Not much to fill in. You take a gamble, take a risk, even at the flex spot. And it just did not pay off. So unfortunately, he did cost me in a couple leagues for a victory this week, especially against Andy. So I lost to her. So I'm never going to hear the end of that one. But it's not good. It's it's just we're having fun. It's all about having fun. So I can't wait to hear it all in person again. So, but that's my fantasy zero this week. It's got to be Juju. He's out next week too. So if he's on your roster, clear him off the spot. Put him in that IR slot. So that's my fantasy zero.
Dude, a lot of injuries in that San Fran Kansas City matchup, especially at the receiver position.
Oh,
yeah.
Debo went to the hospital. I saw Ayuk is out for the year.
Yeah,
right?
he took a nasty hit. I actually saw that live. That was tough to watch, man. I mean, he was wrapped up on the top, and guy came on his legs, and you just watch his legs bend backwards. You hate to see that. That was a rough one.
Yeah, so, I mean, at this point, if Jawan Jennings is not on your roster or if he's available in your league, go get him for sure. Maybe even Ricky Pearsall at this point, because I think even didn't Kittle hurt his foot as well?
Yeah, but it's a typical Kittle thing.
Day-to-day foot sprain.
He's
still going to play.
But if Pearsall's still there, I'd pick him up. Pick him and Jawan up. I think those are the only receivers on that team that are active at this point. If anything, they're bringing practice squad players up. So, well, the trade deadline's still out there, right?
It's the 5th, I believe.
Yeah.
So, I mean, keep an eye out for that, especially with Ayuk being out, and then we don't know. I think Debo had pneumonia and something else, I think is what they discovered. Oof. So, he might be out for a couple weeks, I think, too. So, it's 49ers is a little...
they're looking rough, man. They're beat up hard.
He did get released from the hospital. I'm reading this on Sleeper right now. He got released from the hospital today after coming down with a pneumonia-like illness. So I'm not sure if it was pneumonia or something else, but he's going to need to monitor his progress for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And why don't you start us off with the quarterback fantasy zeros here? Sorry.
Yeah, so mine is a guy that's definitely not in this category much. I honestly, I don't know if he's ever been in this category. I'm talking about CJ Stroud. He had a really tough week this week. He did play the whole game, so he played 100% of snaps, so he didn't get injured or anything, but he only had 21 passing attempts and only completed 10 of them. He only threw for 86 yards, which is definitely his season lowest. I don't even think, he did throw for 192 another week, but I was going to say most of his games are, in the upper 200s, low 300s of passing yards. He also had 0 touchdowns. He did have 5 rushes for 19 yards, but he also got sacked 4 times for 31 yards. So, real tough week for CJ Stroud there. I don't see this as a trend that's going to keep going, but I'm not sure what happened with CJ Stroud this week.
I did watch that game. The Packers pass rush just looked really, really well. But we talked about a little bit earlier with Joe Mixon, they were having trouble stopping the run game. It was a really good game to watch. Both teams battle, like I said, came down to a field goal at the end there that they iced him right as he got it off. So I was hoping that they would miss because I want the Packers to lose because, NFC North. But their defense was looking good against the pass for sure on Sunday.
Yeah, the Texans always seem like they have another offensive weapon step up every week too. So I think they're more of a offense that goes by whatever the defense gives them more than maybe some other teams in the league. But yeah, definitely it seems like the passing game was not working for them this week. So Joe Mixon just shouldered that load and, ran all over the Packers. But yeah, led to a poor week from CJ. And another quarterback on our Fantasy Zeros is your quarterback, Zoltowski. Why don't you go ahead and talk about it?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Gridiron Height shorts, but this was one of my favorite lines from that last year's. Anthony Richardson. He says it like all the rookies are kids. But no, he just had another off week, 10 for 24, 129 yards, no touchdowns. 14 carries for 56 yards and lost a fumble. I know he was hurt for 3 weeks. He got in against Pittsburgh for four snaps or for 4 attempts, and then he was out. He tore his oblique, but he has on the year more interceptions than he does touchdowns. He has only thrown 1 touchdown this year and has thrown 6 interceptions. So if I'm the Colts, I'm looking at what happened in Carolina with Bryce Young getting sat behind Andy Dalton, and I'm sitting Anthony Richardson and starting Joe Flacco, who is 7 touchdowns with 1 interception while Richardson was out and averaged, sorry, I had it pulled up and it went away, 238 yards over those 3 games. He had 1 game, and it was against the Jaguars, but he threw for over 300 yards and has been playing really well. I think this was my little bit of concern that I had, but I think you start Flacco, who's a vet. Richardson's, this is his 2nd year. Let him sit behind him and learn, and try to because they're playing the Dolphins. The Dolphins they're having a rough time. They're without a quarterback. Their defense wasn't looking the best. You only beat them by, I think it was 16-10. Really should have went in there and just mollywopped that team with the struggles that they've been having. So I think that's what the Colts need to look at doing. I'm not an owner. I'm not a coach. I'm just a fantasy manager. But through my eyes, playing football, knowing football, that's, I think, the clear-cut call there. Because Flacco, we saw it last year when the Browns used him. He played extremely well, and he steps back into that role and starts playing extremely well again. I mean, give him a chance. Let the young guy learn.
They still got a little bit left on the tank in Flacco. Overall, the team itself, Taylor was playing well. He even got both receivers. Pittman was involved, and we haven't seen that all year. I know people, when they drafted him fairly early, being a young, big body on that team, it's good to see him get some usage, catches. It's just tough. And Zoltowski, I think you're 100% right. Again, not an owner, not a manager, just a fantasy manager. But it seems like the logical approach. Anthony Richardson has a high ceiling. He's one of those big bodies who can tear down, use his legs, sprint forever, it seems like. If we could just nail down the accuracy, I'm not saying we have to do what Jared Goff is doing and start off 12 for 12 or 15 for 15 or finish the game 100%. But if we can just increase that accuracy just a smidge more, make 4 or 5 more completions, I think they'll be in a decent spot. But again, it's the same situation that we talked about earlier in these podcasts as well. Look at the Zach Wilsons. Look at all these young guys, the Bryce Youngs that we just throw into the mix thinking that college is an easy transition into the NFL, and it just doesn't work out. Look at all the wasted talents that Sam Darnold is a prime example. He got thrown in with the Jets and just doesn't do well.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden he goes to Carolina and is now flourishing because he had time to kind of sit back and develop and learn from those leaders, those vets. This is a prime example of sitting Richardson, right? Your team is still young offensively. You got a decent defense. Let them sit. Let them learn behind Flacco. I mean, Flacco might be arguably one of the best guys to learn behind. Being at, he's seen everything. He's played against Brady. He's played against Manning. He's played against Reed and all these, Brian Dawkins. He's played against all these guys. He knows the game. Why not just sit, take all the notes, get your notepad, get your pen out, and just listen and learn? Maybe you might need to alter your throwing ability. I know in college it worked fine, but, doing a pump fake and then running it 50 yards for a touchdown is great too, but not when you have these massive, massive, quick humans in the box and they know you can't pass. Guess what they're doing? They're shutting down the running back and they're loading the box and you're getting blitzed, and that's it. Your legs can only do so much, especially when they don't trust you throwing down, up the middle or doing even a quick completion of a slant pass. So Zoltowski, back to your point, yeah, it would make the most sense for them to just sit him, let Flacco ride the rest of the year out, and just learn. Nothing wrong with learning. Nothing wrong with, you're not being benched. Being benched is not a bad thing, right? It's you got to learn and grow from your mistakes, and this is a big mistake in his accuracy. You got to develop that way. So, unfortunately, if he keeps starting, it's going to be another one of those. He can't play. He can only run. His accuracy is awful. And it would be another wasted talent for a team that drafted him fairly high in the draft.
Yeah,
so,
and I mean, every game, every complete game that he's played, he's been at or under 50% completion. 9 for 19, 17 for 34, 20 for 10, and now 10 for 24. So, yeah, the accuracy is a huge problem. I mean, Flacco's got a Super Bowl ring and MVP under his belt. I loved watching him when he played for the Ravens. Yeah. It's just that's the right call. So
I didn't.
I know you didn't. That's okay.
Gotta get my curmudgeon take in there.
That's fine.
No, I think you guys are right. This all kind of stems back to that interview Tom Brady had where he talked about, rookies just learn a playbook. They don't learn a system. They don't learn the pro style or anything like that. So that's a really good point that you had, both of you.
Yeah, also, shout out Jared Goff and the Lions for beating Sam Darnold. And in the past 4 games, the Lions have more touchdowns, 18, than Jared Goff has in completions. So, just had to throw that out there.
You'll see them again.
I know. And it'll be another nail biter. I was on the edge of my seat the whole game.
You might see him 2 more times.
That's fine.
Yeah. And honestly, it's just who's going to play the hot hand going to the.
Yeah,
the
I mean, but that was just a great game. Fish, I don't know if you caught it or not. I don't.
Yeah. Oh, no, I watched it.
It's fantastic.
Absolutely.
Ball game right there.
It was a great game. I'd watch it over again.
Great game of the week. Just saying.
I unfortunately did not get to see it. But speaking of games of the week, we've got some games coming up this week. Zoltowski did go with the college game again, so it'll be week 9 preview for Zoltowski since it's back in college. But for Fish now, it's going to be week 8 preview, just how we've always done in the past. So Zoltowski, since you're chronologically the first game, why don't you go ahead and take it away here, buddy?
No, we're going in chronological order. I'm here for it. So yeah, my game this week, Nut stole my NFL game from me, so I decided to pivot to the college scene. My game this week is Michigan at Michigan State. Always love the in-state hate that these two teams have. Both these teams have been struggling this year. They're both 4-3. Michigan just is struggling with the quarterback. Michigan State, I mean, they played Oregon already. They played, Oregon. They played Ohio State. They lost to a tough Boston College team, and they did beat a pretty good Iowa team last week. So they're coming off that. It is a night game too at the Big House, 7:30 on Saturday. But it's Michigan State. And it's in-state hate. You can't go wrong with it.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Now, can you call it a rivalry if you guys have kind of run away with the games in the past?
I mean, we still
the past few years.
You guys still called it a rivalry when Ohio State won like 12 in a row on Michigan. So
yeah, that just makes it sound better for us.
Of Of course it does.
Actually, it's pretty split between the last 10 years between you two.
Yeah, I'm not.
I think it's about 5-5.
Look, last year we won 49-0 against Michigan State, and this year
I do see that now.
we're probably gonna lose by a touchdown. It's been a rough year. I'm not excited. I'm always excited to watch the game at the end of the year, but I do not have high hopes unless we can figure out our quarterback situation or get the running game going again. But hopefully we bring the Paul Bunyan Trophy home back. It stays where it belongs in Ann Arbor.
We should actually get together and watch that game together.
Michigan, Ohio State. I'm down for it. I'll be in town. It's
just don't kill me or anything.
Just what? No, dude.
Don't kill me when we win. Is what I mean.
Oh, I won't. How am I going to hide your body? That's a lot of man to hide. Okay. Never mind. You might die.
The podcast stops. You know why, listeners.
Oh.
All right, Fish, you were in the next chronological game here. Why don't you take it away, buddy?
Okay. Absolutely. So my game of the week might not be a big game of the week to most, but I'm going with the Cardinals versus Dolphins. Again, I mentioned it earlier. Tua is supposedly coming back, and he is not. He already declared he is not wearing the Guardian crown. Or the Guardian cap, excuse me, which is obviously a big possible issue, especially with the last 4 games without Tua. The Dolphins have absolutely struggled. Just kind of read down the list here. They lost against Seattle 24-3, lost against Tennessee Titans, by the way, who have not been hot. They lost to them 31-12. They did beat the Pats. Sorry, Bosom, your team is not that great. Jacoby Brissett did not do well that game, but they won 15-10, and then they lost 16-10 against Indy. Overall, the last 4 games, they've only put up 3 offensive touchdowns, and actually just touchdowns in general, which is crazy abysmal. So good to kind of monitor and see what Tua can do. Hopefully, Tyreek and Jalen Waddle and a chain can get back into the flow of things. I mean, you got to throw it deep, and Tyreek's down there somewhere. I miss saying it. It's been forever. It seems like Dolphins are 2-4 on the season. So, but shockingly, they are sitting in second behind the Bills. The division is absolutely riddled with weakness in essentially high school and college teams at this point. It seems like the Bills are kind of running away with it, especially with their new pickup that they got. But it could be a make or break thing for the Dolphins, especially if we know the Bills, they go on a hot streak and then they get cold fast. So it's prime opportunity. Hopefully that line protects Tua and he doesn't take any more head trauma. But just some stats offensively for both teams as of right now. Dolphins ranked 22nd in offense, 27 in passing, 11 in rushing, thank you for a chain, and 32, that's last in scoring offense. Defensively is a different story, though. They've played fairly well outside of the one game against Tennessee and Seattle, but Seattle's hot. We know who they are. They rank 4th in total defense, number 1 in passing defense, which is incredible for them, 17 in rushing defense, which is about mid-pack, and then 14 in scoring defense, which is nice, too. Again, hopefully they win that locker room back with Tua coming back, fingers crossed. But the Cards on the other side, though, we have seen them struggle offensively. Marvin Harrison had a couple games where he popped off for a lot. The last 3 weeks, he really hasn't done much. And again, we planted the joke that Kyler Murray, COD's coming out Friday. He's got his mind in different areas.
About that time.
It's about that time.
It is that time.
In other words, though, they have to continue to feed James Conner. Conner has played incredibly well. This past week, he led the team in rushing, obviously, but he also led the team in receiving, I think, for 51 yards. Which is not a great thing if you have any receiver for the Cardinals. 5 of the last 7 games, James Conner has had at least 50 rushing yards or more, which is just, again, you go back to that play of feed your best player, and that's what they're currently doing. The Cardinals, just stat-wise, offensively, there are some struggles. They're ranked 15th in offense, 25th in passing. Here's where you got to feed the man, feed the monster. 6th in rushing, 19 in scoring offense. So they can get down the field and they kick the field goal. Field goals aren't going to win you games, but hopefully they can play that hot hand. Their defense, on the other hand, is horrible. 27th, ranked 27th in total defense, 26th in passing and rushing defense, and then 24th in scoring. essentially they can't stop anyone. So this is a prime game for the Dolphins to kind of get back on track. Tua takes a lead role, throw a couple deep bombs to Tyreek, Jalen, and of course get a chain into the receiving game as well. This is a perfect game for them to kind of level set, reset, get everything back on track to then eventually fight for that number one spot against the Bills in their division. So that's my game of the week: Cardinals versus Dolphins at 1 p.m.
That is some bad defensive stats there out of the Cardinals.
I didn't think it was
didn't
that
realize
bad.
they were that bad.
I was thinking the same thing, and I'm doing the research, and it's like, wow, this team. Honestly, put the three of us out there. I think you at CB could do something. Soltaski at free safety.
No,
You want me to play corner, not nose tackle?
Literally can't get any worse. They really can't.
Put another on the nose.
It is
Right.
It is bad looking. So that's the game of the week. I'm excited to see. Hopefully Tua comes back and does what Tua does and stays awake and throws touchdowns and looks for a chain. So, but not. Go ahead, Zoltowski. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just think it. I mean, I agree with you on the whole Tua coming back. Hopefully, they can get things to click against a struggling Cardinals team. Just hope that he can stay healthy and avoid taking some blows to the head. I hate to see what would happen. Saw his interview and the quickness of his response when how quick he said no when he was asked if he was going to wear the Guardian cap. Kind of surprised me. But, I mean, hey, if he's a football man, let him be a football man. If that's what he wants to do, let him do it.
I mean, we talked about health and everything, but I understand it's a personal choice, but it's something to monitor. It's something to look into. There's a lot of games left in the season. So.
Yeah. I mean,
for sure.
You see the struggles they had without him. But as a head coach, I might be saying, hey, man, you want to play, you got to wear this thing. Come on. I need you.
If I'm a coach, I'm just telling him, just go down. Don't take any dumb hits like you did. Just go out of bounds. Take a knee if you have to. Like, just give yourself up. It's not worth it. Now, not worth it for the team. I mean, they've obviously struggled without him there. So they're 2-4. I mean,
right, but they give the extra 2 yards and then, lose memory losses, that there's not an even trade-off there. So,
right. Agreed.
We talk about health for another 4 hours, so it's very interesting. Yeah. Keep an eye on it. We'll monitor it this weekend, watching the games and such. So, but Nut, in chronological order, I think you have the last game on our schedule.
I do, and I think with this crappy slate of games this week, not a lot of good matchups. I think I have the best game out there.
Yep, you do.
It's the Bears at the Commanders. Draft pick 1, draft pick 2 going at it. Hopefully, draft pick 2 is going to be out there. So Jaden Daniels is doubtful, but he is very, he's very motivated to play from what he said in, I believe it was an interview with, I don't know who it was with, but, he really wants to get out there and, guys, can we fucking stop him in the middle of something here?
How would you put that? Just like, I don't understand.
It's pretty good, man.
I just
fucking restart.
I just saw that until now. Why would you put that? I almost for when I put Dolph, I almost put Dolph Lundgren, but I didn't know if anybody was going to
Dolph Lundgren. What is Rocky?
The Cardinals versus Dolph Lundgren.
Should we leave this in? I put Bears at commies.
Yes, this needs to stay in.
I put Bears at commies. Anyways, rookie quarterback showdown. Caleb Williams coming in to play against Jaden Daniels. Should be a high-scoring affair. I did look earlier today. The early line was Washington at home underdog with 1.5 points to cover the spread. Now, it seems like that line is moving quite a bit. I'm not sure if that is tied to Jaden Daniels' health, but I know Sunday evening I checked the line of the game as we were coming back from Cleveland, and it was only Chicago was a 1-point favorite. So Chicago had a point to give. So what we can tell by looking at the stats, the Commanders have a much more potent offense than Chicago does, even though as of late Chicago's been playing pretty well. But the Bears defense is where they really shine. They're 5th in yards per game, allowing 292. and they're second in points per game, only allowing 17. On the flip side of that, the Commanders' offense is fourth in yards per game at 384 a game, and they are tied with the Ravens for first in points per game. Now, even if this does turn out to be, not Jaden Daniels versus Caleb Williams, it still should be a pretty good game with Marcus Mariota in there. He played pretty well last week. And a little fun fact for you guys, Marcus Mariota never lost to the Bears in his entire career. He's 2-0 versus the Bears. So not sure if that's where you want to put your money if you're betting, but yeah, let's make it 3-0. It should be an interesting game for sure. I think it's going to be probably the game of the week.
No, yeah, I mean, that was the game that I was going to pick for the rookie quarterback showdown, number 1, number 2 going off together. Jaden Daniels, I hope he plays. He's looked fantastic. Caleb's been stepping into his own, but all of the wins that the Bears have are against teams that only have one win, and they've lost to the Texans, and they've also lost to the Colts. So this, I think, is going to be like a real good test for them. Another one, see if they can't. I know the Commanders, or as Nut likes to put it, the Commies defense is struggling a little bit. Looked good against the Panthers, so it's the Panthers back there. But I think it'll be a good game, and it's definitely going to be a showdown here. I think it's going to be whoever can make the most passes, whether it be Mariota or Jaden behind the line. I think the Commanders are coming out on top, and not just because I want the Bears to lose because of the NFC North. But
see, I don't know. I think the Bears coming off of a bye week. They're playing the hot hand with DeAndre Swift. I think the Bears take it. Even if Jaden plays, I think it'll be a closer battle. But honestly, I think the Bears take it. I think they're playing the hot hand from when they were on bye. They won a few games. They're starting to find themselves. Chemistry's there. I mean, both defenses are good. So, I don't know. Zoltowski, we might have to make a little side bet or something and figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, the Commanders are coming off of, again, it's the Panthers, but it was a 40-7 win. And then the week before that, they only lost to the Ravens by a touchdown. And
yeah, it was a really good game.
A fantastic game. So I don't know.
Commanders are fun.
Go ahead.
They're fun, and I hate it.
Or the Commies, I should say.
The Commies, yes. But
it's not my joke. Shout out PFT. I actually typed that by, I don't know, just listening to Pardon My Take.
Sure. So one quick fun fact about this game too that I see looking at the line, which hasn't changed, by the way, Nut. The Commanders are.
It has changed. It changed today.
Huh?
It changed today. Washington was +2.5 when I started writing the document, and it's now +1.5.
Yeah, back to +1.5. But so the Commanders are 5-2, and the Bears are 4-2, and the Commanders are first in their division, and the Bears are last in their division at 4-2.
Crazy.
I did see that.
NFC North, man.
NFC North football. You just wanted to toot your own horn there, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm allowed to have fun now. I've been through the bad. Now it's time.
Yeah.
To
a
still.
lot of us have.
The night is always darkest before the dawn, is what they say. One day, Nutter. One day.
You're like I'm in Alaska, and there's always 6 months of just shadows.
You, with that logic, you tell me how it was dark as hell, then it was a little bright, and now it's dark as fuck again.
It wasn't the dawn. It was just like, the light at the end of the tunnel. You saw a flash of it, and now you're still.
What part of the Earth doesn't get light? Is that Alaska?
Literally just said that. And they get light.
Did you?
Go 6 months down.
Isn't there a movie about that, like 30 Days a Night?
Yeah, and it's a great movie. Watched it like 4 times already.
It's a horror movie, yeah.
Speaking of horror movies, that's what our draft is this week. Now, I will come out and say I'm not a horror movie person. This draft is more geared towards Zoltowski and Fish here, but I will still make picks and hopefully win the draft. So let's go ahead and get our randomizer going. You guys ready?
Oh, no.
Drum roll.
I'm ready.
Zoltowski is first.
I was hoping you say he'd get third.
Oh yeah, dude, I'd be
Fish is
so
second.
mad.
We'll take it.
And I, with no knowledge of horror movies, is bringing up the rear.
There's just so many good ones. It's
There's
unfortunate.
so many good ones.
This might actually be the toughest one for me.
Yes, I'm just going to read off Google here. All right, Zoltowski, why don't you go ahead and take it away for us, buddy?
Okie dokie. 1-1. God, that's a hard one to start with in this. But for my 1-1, I'm gonna go with Halloween. The original Halloween that introduced Mike Myers. Not the comedic Mike Myers, but the white mask wearing Ashton Genty stalking serial killer. Great spawned a great series. I always love going back to the first one. Even the Rob Zombie ones I think are good. But
those are good too, yeah. A little bit more violent, that's for sure, but they're good.
Way more violent, man.
Just a smidge more violent, a little bit more blood.
Yeah, but that's my 1-1.
That's a good solid pick. I figured you pick some old school stuff too, so which is good because on my list I don't have any of that.
Oh.
Yes. I think my 1-2. I remember walking out of the theater when I saw it with everybody, Shane and everybody else, and I was just like, "What did I just watch?" Like my mind was blown with one of the first films that kind of like, when they're getting ready to kill somebody, they quickly cut to it or they look at the killer and they don't really see anything. This one kind of jarred a lot of things loose of like, wow, we just saw that family die. I'm going to go ahead and go with the first Sinister. That movie I absolutely loved. I thought it was very, very well done. I know a lot of people, when everybody walked out of the theater, we call not only my group of friends, but then other people just kind of like looked at each other and like, what did we just witness? I think it was one of the first films that when people are drowning, you actually see like their feet kind of like move and then all of a sudden it slowly stops. I don't think we really necessarily saw a lot of that, at least in my eyes, that we see it from like start to finish. That movie just overall was very well done. The second one's really good too. A little cornier, but that first one, man, that was, I watch that one every year. I gotta have the lights on, I think, sometimes, It's Bagul is something else. That is a crazy one. So that's my 1-2. Not what do you got for 1-3?
So I'm going to stay authentic and just pick movies I've seen.
It's a short list, right?
So it's going to be probably pretty funny in the end to see my list. But the first one I'm going to go with is, we'll go with the remake of It. And I'm going to do It 1 and It 2.
Damn it.
Part 1 and Part 2. So that is one horror movie I've seen. And I actually thought it was really good. I don't know why I enjoyed it so much, but I thought it was really well done. I think it was because there was, a pretty decent humor in it. I think that's the way I cope with things like that. So the remake is definitely my first pick there. And then keeping along with the humor, this is where I'm going to lose some people. I'm going to go with Zombieland.
Oh, that's a good one.
It's pretty campy. It's not really as scary as Fish is going to go here, but Zombieland is going to be my second pick. I love Bill Murray. I love Woody Harrelson. So that's a good pick for me, I think.
Yeah, and he's stretching it on the horror there, but I mean that's a good movie, so I'll let it slide. For sure.
I'm on Google. It's on the list.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's definitely. There's a few on here that I'm like, I don't know if that's horror, but okay, that's fine. Wow, those are good picks. Now I'm glad you've seen those. Yeah, a little bit on the funny side, but my pick is not so much of the humor. I'm gonna go ahead and go with the whole franchise. I'm gonna say Conjuring.
Yep.
Those films, I think, if you're talking about a horror list, any of them have to be on the list. There's a lot of jump scares into it, but even the plot from movie to movie, the storyline, incredible. It supposedly partakes after like a real life event. That room that they have, who is Zoltaski,
It's the Warrens.
The Warrens, yes.
Yes.
That room that they have with all the haunted and possessed
The Annabelle
items,
and all that. Yep.
Annabelle dolls. That's an actual room. Now, if you believe in the horror stuff, I don't. But if you believe in all that, I don't know if you can even tour it anymore. I think they had it open for a little bit. I don't think you can do it anymore. But it's supposedly still in the house. They got all this giant rooms behind, padlocks full of haunted stuff, possessed dolls, different. I think there's like a suit of armor, and there's a lot of little trinkets that are bad things that people have given the Warrens, or the Warrens have gone to these places, done exorcisms and stuff like that, to then take these back and lock them in these rooms. But the whole Conjuring series itself, again, absolute staple. If we're talking about October and or horror, it's got to be in that category. All the films are incredibly written. The storyline, the plot, very good. Good jump scares. Of course, when you're talking about the ghosts and the paranormal and stuff like that, and the possession type thing, it's just one of those things where, you might be able to take on Michael or Jason for like a second. At least you can physically fight it. You can't fight a demon, stuff like that. So that's got to be on my list for 2-2 on the whip round.
That's a good one. The second one I think is my favorite. I wasn't a fan of the third one. I think it's because they changed directors.
We need to watch them all again. Me and Stamper. Because nobody else likes horror. So.
I'm in. But
I'm in. Just kidding. I'm out. I'm so far out.
You're fine. We'll protect you.
I won't. Absolutely not. I'm tripping and I'm running.
The real Annabelle doll, it's based off the the little doll from I think it was like the 50s or the 60s.
It's a Raggedy Ann doll.
Yeah, it's a Raggedy Ann doll. It's locked in a box with a cross on the top, a tarot card and a padlock, and it says warning, positively do not open.
Yep.
And they just keep that in their house.
Yeah, they go to bed at like 9 p.m. and then they hear a knock and they're like, "Not tonight, Anna, not tonight." So it's just, it's just like, why?
All right. Two, right?
It is 2, yeah.
2 for me.
Yep, your second pick.
Yeah, second pick.
Oh, yeah, you're on the turn.
Yeah, I'm on the turn. So first pick here. I remember watching this one. I think this is one of probably the first actual horror movies that I watched, because I wasn't allowed to really watch them as a kid. It would have to be The Grudge.
Oh, dude, yes.
That's a good one.
Oh, that terrified me as a kid. I remember.
Yes.
I'll tell you guys the story later, but that shit scared me. For sure.
Yeah, it's set in Tokyo. Based, Japanese horror is always like super creepy. She makes that. I think it was
called, right?
Yeah, Ju-on The Grudge. She just looks terrifying. She's got that creepy noise that she makes. But it's just a really, really good horror movie.
That noise is pretty iconic too. I even know that noise.
Yeah, Arthur makes it sometimes, and I get scared.
Yeah, no, that's when she's crawling down the steps. I'm like, nah. I think I saw it when I was like 10 over in Jersey. Mom was like, "Yeah," I'm like, "Well, what are you watching?" She's doing the bed or whatever, and she's like, "I'm watching The Grudge," and then she's like, "You might not want to stay here." I saw that was the scene that I saw where she's creaking down the steps. I saw Mom and Dad, I think, for a week. I think I was shocked, dude. I was out. Like, there's no way.
Oh, yeah.
What was this last week?
Well, yeah, a little bit, and then going into the next week too. Round out October, really.
Oh God! All right. On the turn. Oh shit! Where did I go? But my third pick. So Fish went with the movie series, and he might hate me for taking this one. But Fish talked about seeing it as a kid, getting scared. I remember seeing the previews for this movie, not knowing what the heck it was. But there's this big character in a red robe with a pig mask, and I'm like, what's going on? These guys are chained in a room. I'm going with the Saw franchise.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
Yeah. I mean, the last couple, I think the most recent one was good because it divulged into like the background and everything. Spiral, I think it was called. Because it was more
it was
Chris Rock.
Yep, Chris Rock.
Yeah, and then
very well on that.
Yep, Jigsaw wasn't horrible, but like 6 and 7 were But the first 3, the first trilogy, those are the best ones.
I mean, it's a good franchise. Again, it's one of those situations where it could happen. I mean, there's been a couple serial killers out there that have had a toy box type thing. I think there was one over in like Arizona or something that had a semi that had a dental chair in it, and he would kidnap people and torture them that way. It's almost kind of like, hey, let's play a game this way. So it's the fact that it could happen. You know,
Yeah.
It's not like that jump scare or anything like that, but it could happen.
It's not out of the realm of possibilities at all.
It's terrifying. So that's a good pick. That's a good solid pick. I like that.
It's a good movie marathon, one might say.
I love a good movie marathon. I think we tried to start that, and then we got sidetracked with other things. But we'll have to go back to that, especially with the end of October coming up. But horror goes year round, of course. But for my pick, I'm going with a movie that, again, is one of the ones that is just, if it's on and me and Pops are at the house, we're going to sit down and watch it because it's just a good staple. Zoltowski, I don't know if you have seen this one. I'm sure you have. I think Stamper has for sure. No, you definitely haven't seen it. The Autopsy of Jane Doe.
I have seen that
definitely
one.
Have not.
I love that one. The two morticians, the father, son. He's getting ready to go out with his girlfriend, do a date night. Another body comes in. They're just doing an autopsy. And then all of a sudden they're trying to, weird things start to happen. Like, what's going on with this? Autopsy of Jane Doe was an incredible film. Very, very creepy parts. Both the actors, I can't remember them, but
it's Brian Cox and Emil Hirsch, because Brian Cox is in Super Troopers, and that's what I remember watching that, and I'm like, that's the guy from Super Troopers, and then I'm like, what the hell is going on in this movie?
Both of them are very, very good in this film. It is some parts are a little tough to watch. If you don't like the gore and the different angles of body parts and stuff like that. But this one is a staple. If it's on, me and Pops are watching it just because it's like we've seen it for the first time over again. It's just one of those classic ones. If we're talking about a horror lineup, it's got to be in my lineup for sure.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's a really good one. I can't believe I forgot about that one.
See, I figured you would have went old school like Freddy and all that stuff. But I mean, this is
I remember scrolling through TV when I first met Liz, and we were watching the cable at the apartment, and it came on, and I had never seen it, and she's into horror movies, so we sat there and watched it. I remember at the end of it, I was like, that was really good. Like, how have I not heard of this before?
Well, you know how most horror films, they come out and they're like, yeah, the critics are awful with it, they think it's shit, and then you see all these. I love a good sci-fi horror too, but then you're like, it's just not worth the hour and a half time to sit down and watch this. But this one was like, oh, the storyline, the plot's good, and the actual horror scheme behind it's very good. It was just an overall good movie.
I might have to rewatch that.
On vacation. Like a movie night again.
Yeah. Or a movie night. Yeah.
I'll have a good movie
Stamper.
And I'm pretty sure I saw the preview to that one and I got freaked out. So
yeah. It's a good one.
All right, Nut. Let's hear your pick. Your next two picks.
Right, so my next pick is going to be a movie I really, really, really like. I'm going to go with Get Out. I like Get Out. I like the Jordan Peele movie, Get Out, starring Daniel. Oh, God, I shouldn't even have said his name because I can't pronounce his last name. But that movie was a lot of fun to watch. Really cool, like twisted brain thriller, like just a brain puzzle type thing. The payoff at the end of the film is really good too. So that was probably one of my favorite horror movies I've seen. It seems like he likes to do that twist ending there. But my last movie on the turn here, I'm going to go with Psycho.
Oh,
classic.
The classic Psycho movie. I really, really enjoy that. I actually showed that one to Amy, I think, this past year, and she's not a horror fan either, but she really liked that movie too. So that was a really, really cool movie to watch. I think that was the first on-screen killing, correct?
I think with the shower scene, yeah.
Yeah, the shower scene, yeah. So definitely Get Out and Psycho are going to be my last two. I did have some honorable mentions too that we can go into after you guys pick yours, but
yeah, we got another 4 hours because I got a shit ton of
Yeah.
right.
This honestly is the most difficult. It's like picking your starter in Pokemon. This might be the second most difficult choice.
I agree with you on that
one.
So
stay tuned for the drafts.
Yeah, right. That's why you know what I'm saying. My last pick, and I've been going back and forth. I got essentially a book of possible movies here that I've written down. I'm gonna go with another one that reminds me of the autopsy of Jane Doe. I could go old school like Nut and Zoltowski. But I think I'm gonna go. No, do I do it? I'm gonna pivot. I'm gonna go ahead and go with the Evil Dead franchise. Again,
okay,
I go what?
I'm surprised that wasn't higher. Honestly, I was worried you weren't gonna say it.
No, well, see, I'm going back and forth. I'll talk about this honorable mention too. There's another classic one that I absolutely love and watch around, year round essentially. But Evil Dead, I've talked about on the podcast before. I absolutely love the franchise, but more specifically, the newer movies that come out, especially the first Evil Dead that they remade and the second one. It kind of plays into a little bit of that like corny humor type deal, but then there's obviously the horror aspect, especially with the different laughs or the main villain taking control of some people and having them do crazy things too. Again, it's just one of those possession type demon things that you just don't see too much of. So it does kind of play into the humor, especially with the laughing, the kids laughing, or the lady laughing while she's sawing her arm off, kind of thing. There's a lot of different things, but again, it's just a very well written film. Both of them, obviously, Bruce Campbell is an incredible,
fantastic.
I love that guy. Hopefully
he's in a new show.
I know. Hopefully, we can see him at a Comic-Con because I'd lose my mind. That guy from Ash vs. Evil Dead, the horror scene or the comedy and horror there, but then the little bit more serious of the horror with the two remakes. It's just very well done. You can anticipate a lot of gore, a lot of bones breaking, a lot of gross things. But that's got to be to round out, and it's a tie between 1,000 other films.
Yeah, that's a good one though. I remember watching the Red Band trailer for the remake when my senior year, and just being like, "Oh my god!" Just all that was actually the first Evil Dead film that I saw, and then went back and watched the original 2, Army of Darkness, and then we all watched, I think, the new one, Evil Dead Rise, when it came out, and that one I really enjoyed that one as well. So, hope they keep making them. They're fun movies.
They are. They're coming out with the animated series too.
Ooh.
And Bruce is supposed to be involved with that, and then they had released that they're going to come out with more films and such. Which, I mean, honestly, we don't know what the demon looks like or what it even does, but it does. There's a lot of things we could talk about and go into it. But
it's Sam Raimi makes great horror movies and really good superhero movies too.
Yes.
But
yes,
for the last pick of the draft, this one was also a toss up for me. There's one that I've gotten real into thanks to Liz. But I think I like this one just a little bit more, just because of the premise of it. But I don't know if you guys have seen this. You might have when it came out on Netflix. But I'm going to go with Hush as my last pick. And Fish, have you seen it?
I think Dad had it on the other day or like the other week or something like that.
Okay.
I might have to, it's on my list for sure.
Yep. So she is, the main character is a horror author, who is deaf and mute. And she lives in the woods by herself. And she's trying to write her next book. And there's a home invader that comes in. So you're watching this, and when, it's from her point of view, it's silent. You can't hear anything. So just the way that they portray her and how her life is, and is she going to live? Is she not going to live? Keeps you on the edge of your seat. It's a really good movie. I just really like it. It's a Blumhouse movie. Blumhouse movies are just good.
Blumhouse, they did Sinister.
Yep.
Blumhouse knows what they're doing. They go forward.
I fell asleep during the second Sinister in the theaters, and I did not get to say that when you made that pick. I did. The one was okay. The first one, like that you picked, great movie.
The second one, the way they did some of the killings was a little corny, you know. But the first one, especially with the lawnmower, it's like holy shit! I was out of my seat.
Yeah, but I think we got some solid picks, and then you got a good horror comedy in there from Nutter.
Yeah,
I'll give him that.
It's not bad.
Yeah, that's not
It's
bad.
a different type of horror.
Yeah, Get Out.
What, Zombieland?
I just your picks in general for someone that doesn't watch horror. It's not a bad lineup.
No.
Yeah, it's not like Possession or anything.
No, Get Out's really good. The psychological thrillers are always a good one. That
that's what I was looking for. Psychological thriller. That's what I meant.
Us is also a great follow up, and then Nope was pretty good too.
Yeah, Nope was good.
But I got a couple honorable mentions. The other one I was going up was for Scream or the Scream series, and I'm a huge fan of those. She's got the ghost face tattoo.
Yeah,
you know, Bill Stumacher and Billy Loomis in the first one, and the whole premise of why they wanted to do it is just wild. And, you know, they're playing off the old horror tropes. I know in the first one, you know, she's watching the Halloween movies and it's like, oh, don't do that. And then it happens. But they're drawing out the tropes of those movies and doing them well. But that's my one big on. If we did one more round, that's the next pick.
Oh, I can't. I could do another 12 rounds if you want, but not another one.
Oh, yeah.
No, you got any honorable mentions? I got a few, but I'll touch on it last.
Yeah, I had a couple. They're still kind of in the same wheelhouse that I already have, but World War Z was one.
Yeah,
I like that movie a lot. I had Shaun of the Dead. Fish, I know you and I have watched that multiple times.
Oh, good.
That's a good one.
You know what movie I didn't have on my list anywhere?
Huh.
Five Nights at Freddy's. That movie was awful.
They're making a second one.
Should be.
They're making it.
Can't believe they're making a second one.
But
yeah, that's a couple I had. You know, Zoltowski, you already mentioned Us.
Yes.
I know we all watched that together. That was a really good movie. But yeah, and when it comes to horror, I haven't seen a ton, so I would say that's probably my extent of what I know there.
It's a good door. Yeah. You should open the door. You know, you got the Invisible Man remake. That one's really good. You got the Friday the 13th. Liz and I just watched the remake again, and it's so bad now to watch it because you know what's gonna happen, and even trying to watch it through the eyes of someone who watched it the first time, you're like, how is this scary? Oh, they're going alone, and there's a serial killer. They watched him kill their friend.
Yeah,
but I digress. The original ones are good. Nightmare on Elm Street, the classics, all that stuff. But Fish, I'd really like to hear your honorable mentions.
So I'm curious, Zoltowski, and I'm surprised that we didn't say Paranormal Activity, right?
Yeah, I
tapped out a lot of the paranormal there. They had 1,000 movies. That was the first one was really creepy because it had that behind the scenes cam type deal. The franchise is good. Again, it's one of those ones where if you don't like paranormal stuff with the lights on, maybe I do it sometimes, especially if I'm alone. But that was one I thought of. I was like, I could throw in there. Train to Busan, another zombie film that we didn't really see.
I have not seen that yet. I have been wanting to watch it.
So good.
Yeah, I've heard it's really good.
I heard that one's crazy.
The Koreans know how to do zombie films, and this one was incredible. Very, very well done. I think it's up on. It's either Hulu or Netflix, and it's English dubbed too, so it's a great one. Another one, Quarantine. I know Pops and I watch this all the time. Both 1 and 2 is very, very good. It's also got that. It's a rabies type zombie film, but again, it's filmed with the guy with the actual,
the found footage.
Yes. So it's got that. Another couple, The Strangers. Yep. Another one that is a possibility that could happen.
Oh yeah, Strangers. Yeah,
Strangers
I've
is
seen
a
that.
good one. Shout out to Dennis from It's Always Sunny. He's in it.
Dennis Reynolds. Glenn Howerton is his name.
Yeah, he gets demolished. But Drag Me to Hell is another one. Again, it's a very creepy one. A lot of grossish scenes in there. And then, of course, if we're going to throw old school type deal, Arachnophobia, again, kind of touching on what is most common fears. We already named clowns and such like that. Arachnophobia, having a house full of deadly poisonous spiders, which they are remaking, by the way, and it's supposed to be absolutely nuts.
I did see that. I did
very,
see
very,
that.
very, very excited for that. And then as above, so below. And Trimmers, the first Trimmers, where he pulls the hat off from the ground. It's just an overall little creepy-ish film, especially if you're a youngin'. But I mean, we could talk about this shit all night.
Oh yeah, I mean,
dude, the Purge franchise.
Yes, the Purge.
The Purge is a good one too. Again, a possibility.
Silence of the Lambs.
Labs, yeah. Silence of the Labs.
Sorry.
Silence in all the labs.
Silence of the Lambs. Excuse me. I pulled a nutter stutter.
Sound a little.
I Am Legend, if that fits. I don't know.
I don't think it does. I'm looking at this list here. There's a few that we need to see, like Imaginary. There's a couple.
See, okay, so Liz watched that, and she was not a fan of Imaginary.
The crazies that go on. I don't know. We can go on and on and on.
On and on. We might go on and on after we're done.
Hey, we got a couple hours to burn, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go ahead and cut it there. I'm sure people don't want to hear us drone on about our picks here, but before we go, you guys have anything to plug or anything like that? Anything to say?
No, getting closer to move out. That's about it.
There you go. Go watch Nardy's Arcade on Twitch. Watch him play.
Yep, we're
Jedi Survivor.
Continue on with that Jedi Survivor. We're about done with it, so it's been a lot of fun lately. But
you're about done with it?
I think so.
We'll discuss. I want to know where you're at now. You stream while I'm at work, so I can't watch my friend, and I'm upset about it. But it's fine.
I just stream when I have nothing else going on. I don't want to stream too late at night.
Oh, I get it.
Or else I can't play with you guys. So
I've been getting that wish for a while now.
Thanks, man.
I'm here for you.
Love you too. Anyways, that's about all we have. Thank you again if you listen. We appreciate you. Please do tell your friends and family about us. We are still trying to grow. So, yeah, definitely tell your folks about us. Tell people you love about us. And as always, say GG, and thanks for being a gent. See you guys.
Catch you next week. Bye.
Bye.